Thanks for listening to the Intersections in Learning and Development cast, a series from the Training, Learning, and Development community. My name is Monique St. Paul, and this cast focuses on forging relationships that foster effective learning no matter where you start. Whether you design, develop, deliver, support, or consult, and or all of the above, we hope to provide you with new ideas, inspiration, and connections across the L&D community. Luis Malbas is the creator of TLDC, and he also works in marketing operations for O'Reilly Media. He's the reason Lisa and I met, and why we're all here today. We wanted to speak with him today to hear about his intersection with L&D, having showcased, interviewed, and worked with individuals new to the community and those who helped build it. Let's get to it. There we go. Good morning, all. Thank you. My name is Monique St. Paul, and this is Lisa Crockett. And this is
Hello.
our first inaugural webcast of learning, interactions and learning. And we are here with Luis Malbas, who everybody knows as the TLDC creator. So forgive us this morning because he's not actually behind the controls, but Lisa is, and this is my first time being
So
the
this
host.
could,
So
and this
be
could be
gentle
bad.
to us.
Yes.
But we figured we'd start off with, someone that everyone is comfortable with. And sort of the opening question that I have for your chat is, what is your favorite thing about the TLDC community? Just put that in there. And while you're doing that, I will let Luis introduce himself. This is Luis Malbas. He's a marketer as well as I mentioned before, the TLDC creator. And so I just want to have him introduce himself and go right now.
Yeah, so I am Luis Malbas and founded TLDC back in what was it, 2016, and it's great to see. Like, I can see Nick Floro's little icon in there. I've known Nick for years, but I've been in the e-learning space for I don't know. I guess I started around 2005. I think it was when I first had officially my first job working in L&D. And so I've kind of been around for a while. Now, the thing with me is I'm not necessarily a practitioner, although I mean some would say that I am, but I'm not formally trained as an instructional designer or anything like that. I've done a lot of training and I've definitely created, um, things that have trained people. But mostly I have kind of been somebody that organized events and conferences and activities surrounding helping other people with their professional development. And that is what I do with TLDC in the form of a community. And so my formal background is, I've got a degree in English Lit and liberal arts, and a bunch of IT certificates that are probably no longer valid because it's been so long. But yeah, I have a technical background and a bunch of other stuff, and I've just been in this space for a really long time. And I still do professionally, like my day job. I work at O'Reilly Media, which, if any of you are familiar with them, they have been. Well, actually, they had the first business website on the internet, the first e-commerce website. So, and they have a learning platform that I am involved in on a regular basis, but they're focused more on data and AI and programming, next economy, open source, things like that. So I am definitely an L&D professional, I feel, but my emphasis isn't as much as on a practitioner side of things, more like somebody who markets and curates and builds community. Does
So
that
you
work?
mentioned, yes, it does work. I love that. And I would certainly say you mentioned personal development. And I know already as I started in this community about a year ago, you've already done that. And just even working on a web class platform does that. And that to me screams L&D that you want to help people, which takes me to my first question, which is you did mention a little bit, training isn't in your day job, but
Yeah.
you started TLDC. What made you want to create a community for people who are in this industry?
Well, I guess it was pretty much from in a lot of ways it was sort of my love of the audience. I mean, there was, from a practical perspective, I have a lot of experience with working with building audiences and actually helping support communities. When I was at the e-learning guild, or the learning guild as it is now, I that was a lot of my focus. Was I was always thinking about the individuals that were a part of the community, the people that would attend conferences or their online events. That was always top of my mind. And so when I left there, I was like, where am I going to go next? What am I going to do next? I wanted to do something that continued to support that, because that was a passion of mine. I found that every time that, I would have conversations with my old boss and all that, it always came back around to me wanting to say, well, how are they going to feel about, this particular product or this particular, you know, logistical situation at an event. And I didn't want to stop doing that because I found a lot of satisfaction out of that. I love helping audiences, helping people, period.
Yeah, no, and I see the parallel in that. If you're a live facilitator, you have to think about what's going on in the room, how comfortable your learners are, and things like that. So running events in general is very similar. So I would say to that is, what has being a host, or what has this experience sort of creating events for professionals had taught you about people in general?
Oh, what has this taught? Well, I would say that I didn't realize how incredible everyone's story is.
Mhm.
Like, it's given me an opportunity to just get a peek into the lives of just so many different people, and I get a ton of satisfaction out of that because it really supports the fact that, you know, that people are incredible. Like, just, I mean, every member showcase that I've done, it's like, whoa, crazy. Like, this person does this, they've gone through this, and this, and here they are. And it really emphasizes the fact that we're all on a journey here, in our careers, and especially in this particular industry, or this path that we're on. And we all have our own unique stories that we're bringing to all of it. But we're definitely together on this. And that is the one thing with the community that I feel is really important. If you're somebody that is like thinking about getting into L&D, or you're at a certain level and you're feeling like, oh, I'm just kind of stuck in this room building PDFs, but I want to do something else, if you can tune into some of the stuff that we do, like every week, you can see like, okay, there's another path, and here's another path, and here's another path. And I love being able to shine a light on that stuff, because you're not alone. And I feel like that's what this community is about, is I'm trying to like get past the screen and just get to the fact that there's just a lot of human beings that are out there in chat and, are attending right now. That's important to me, because I feel like, especially with social media and people just anonymously posting whatever here and there and wherever, that we forget that on the other side of the window, we're actual flesh and blood, and that's a big deal for me.
That's great. I hear that and I immediately am like, yes, 100%. I love people. I love talking to them. I will 100% put down my phone just to stay connected with people. But what I heard in that is that you really care about growth. And so I have two questions to that. The first I'll go for you, which is, how do you feel that you grow yourself? What do you do for your own personal development other than helping with this community?
My own professional development. Well, a lot of my activity that I love doing is I just like to build stuff. And so I am constantly fidgeting and testing things out and trying things out and seeing and making things break. That is, I guess I'm kind of I'm a nerd in that way. I mean, you guys have seen that I sometimes will plug in different little web apps and technology pieces, as long as they work. I have to make sure that they work, but I plug in a lot of stuff and play around with that. And that is one way that I continue to stay creative with TLDC, and also with my own professional development. And honestly, TLDC as an activity is that is my professional development. Like, for instance, AIDC 21, with the accessibility event we did a couple months ago, like that was actually in a lot of ways a selfish way of me figuring out, like, is this something that I really want to get into? And yeah, it worked out. I'm like, okay, so now we got to figure out, Luis, how are you going to like chase after being better with accessibility and integrating that into your workflows and the things you do. So any of you out there, start a community, and like, that's a great way to learn about stuff. And you know, I want to do a DEI event because I need to know this stuff better. And I feel like a lot of people need to know this stuff. And so I'm just going to be able to share this knowledge with other folks as we get into it. And so you'll continue to see that. That's just sort of, a lot of it is me trying to figure out. We did a community day on story, and I wanted to know more, and I wanted to learn from people like Rance Green and others. And so I built it. And, and then when I bring in like Lisa to be an advisory board member for an event, that's because I want to learn from her and the ideas that she has. And that's really how all of this works. I actually didn't realize that until you asked me this question.
Excellent. And I'm glad I asked it. I wouldn't say that it's selfish then. If you're helping other people and you're creating an impact, then it certainly isn't selfish. And what Lisa and I talked a little bit about, it's sort of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, and it's sort of, for this, it's like 6 degrees of Luis Malbas. Is who are you connected to? Because you did a community showcase, and for me, it's Lisa. I met her at Community Day, and so that was pretty exciting. And then here we are. And I would say, going back to the growth question, is what I know it can get a little nerve-wracking to do or try new things. So what is the snafu that happened while you were live? And that you think about the most, and how you handled it, and how you would change that now that you're more experienced in it.
It's funny. There aren't I've been really lucky, knock on wood, about having issues during a broadcast. And usually it's pretty simple for me. And I think this is one of my strengths, is just keeping a cool head all around. Is that if I know that it's just not going to work, I'll call it and say, okay, we'll just do this next time. And that's really how I resolve like issues. But and I wish I could have a better answer for that, like a really, really good story about like something that went wrong and I wasn't able to fix. But I do recall, like, just when I was at the e-learning guild one time, where we had a keynote speaking at an online event. We couldn't get their audio right. So I actually had him call in by phone, and I connected a microphone. I held a microphone to the phone, and we streamed it that way. And that was one way that I was able to get through a technical issue. But for the most part with TLDC, it's and I think it's by design. It's really, I can overcome most anything because it's simple, and I just will, we will reschedule. So like the mistakes don't really happen that often, right, if ever. And I think it's because it's so low key, and it's really, really informal. So I don't have an incredible answer for you on that one.
No, I would say what I pulled out of that answer was keep it casual. Don't stress yourself out. And if it's not working, take that moment to pause. And that's okay. And say, hey, give me a minute. We're going to come back. And I think that works. The next question I have is, who has had the biggest influence on your career?
Oh man, it's funny because to be transparent, everybody, Monique and Lisa did send me these questions, and I was reading them over yesterday, and I started thinking about them last night, and then I couldn't sleep because I was reflecting on them so much. And I even woke up at like 4 a.m. and continued to reflect on them. And I couldn't really like put anything to this one. And it's sort of like the first person that came to mind, and I guess this is just the nerd in me, was I thought about Peter Parker, and then I thought about Bruce Lee, and then I thought about
is the question.
And then I thought about my favorite guitar players. But like on my actual career, I feel like I haven't really I haven't walked a path that is very common. And I do look for models out there, but I never find anybody or anything that is really doing sort of like what I want to do or what my vision of things are. And it's just very unconventional. So I would say that it's the people that inspire me on a regular basis are the people that I quietly sort of am lurking and reading, their posts on in TLD chat and on Twitter. Unfortunately, like I do regularly look at Twitter,
Right.
and sometimes when I can stand it on LinkedIn. But it's the authentic stories. It's the people when I see the humanity there, that is what guides me, because that is what is really, really important to me.
Well, I'm going
Thank
to
you.
remove the word career and I'm going to say, bring up Peter Parker and the lead guitarist. What do those influences have on you in general? So I'm going to skip the career. And why did those people come to mind when you thought about that question?
Just doing the right thing. It's always about doing the right thing. I actually did have a cousin. I have a cousin. His name is Ricky, and I know him as Kuya Ricky because in Filipino, whenever you have like an older sibling or cousin or relative um, within your generation, you call them Kuya in Filipino, and so his name was Kuya Ricky. Is Kuya Ricky? He lives in Hawaii, and he was this guy that always did the right thing. Anytime any like my elders and like my grandparents or my parents, his parents would ask him to do something, he would go do it. And he would run errands, he would just do anything for them. And then he would also be super cool because he was a skateboarder and a surfer and would listen to Van Halen and do all this stuff. But at the same time, he did everything right, like for for our elders. And so I always kind of looked at him when I was growing up as a model, and that level of respect is something I continue to aspire to, and I even pass to my son. Is like, you can still be cool and do all this, be a killer skateboarder and surfer, and but still like have a lot of respect for the people around you. You don't have to, you can still be humble and carry yourself with a lot of humility, and still be badass, basically.
I like it. I like that response. Okay, so what gets you excited other than the TLDC community?
Well, I mean, it's obvious you can kind of see a guitar in the back. I like to play music. I like to write songs. I like to be with my family. I love like playing with my son and watching him grow up with my wife. And those are right now at this time in my life, that is like basically my thing is just that stuff. I have to say though, the rock and roll thing picked up. Like I had kind of stopped for a while, and then I ended up meeting some guys off of Craigslist, and then we were gonna
Sounds so sketchy.
yeah. It kind of is, but we ended up like just starting to like, I didn't realize I was going to end up playing in a rock band again, and we're playing and we're doing pretty well. So it's super fun, and it's actually helped me survive the last couple of years, just being able to play with those guys. So that is really driving me now, and it's an important thing for me. But though that's pretty much it. It's like family and music pretty much. Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, stick to that. That's a good one. What do you do that people may not expect about you? So you're in a rock band, so I'd imagine that's not necessarily what people think of. But is there anything else that if someone talked to you, they wouldn't expect, like, oh my God, he does that?
Yeah, I have like pretty much a whole alter ego that people have no clue about and is not appropriate for camera right now. But
Okay. We will redirect. That is fine.
no, I am I think that people would be really, really surprised if they saw me like offline, because I was a skateboarding punk rocker, and but also comic book and D&D nerd, and and I do play loud guitars and do that stuff. I dress a little differently when I'm off camera, and do some crazy stuff. There are things, about my life that are unexpected. Some of them I can't really speak about, just because they're
Yeah.
there's whatever, for a bunch of different reasons. But I do some really cool stuff. I have a really nice life.
At least the stuff that you shared with us, I think, is pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. And I'm all about privacy. If you have things in your life
Yeah.
to keep to yourself, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't push people on that one for sure. Um I would say for someone who's so established and has done so many things, what makes you nervous?
I'm freaking nervous right now. I'm always nervous. Being on in front of a camera and even this whole thing, I'm totally nervous. I mean, if you could, my hands are like sweating like crazy, and I'm trying not to say I'm just nervous. Like whenever one of the hardest things I do on a regular basis is doing a broadcast, is turning that on and like getting it going. But I have to practice a little bit of meditation beforehand. I have to calm myself and just go through it and do it, because personally I am not somebody that is really comfortable on camera. And that is one of the reasons I think why I love what I do, is because I see other people that feel the same way. And I know that if I can do it, they can totally do it. And I want to help them do it. I want to just make sure that you can because everybody that's in the community, every single member showcase that we've done, anybody that's submitted anything that wants to be able to share their knowledge with this community, that is absolutely brilliant. That's and that's kind of built into the core of trainers and people that are educators, is like you want to help other people. It's kind of, that's just built into you. And if I can facilitate that and help that in any way, then yeah, that's my goal. And so, but the thing for me is I like doing the mechanisms behind the scenes and like thinking about how, okay, what's a better way to help these people, and a better way to create connections amongst people. The thing is like right now, I'm kind of the only one person by default that can get up and do what needs to be done for these showcases and here in Crowdcast. And so that's pretty much why I do it. And that's why this is like Willy Wonka. I'm going to turn it over to you guys going forward, and you're going to just be the stars of the show. No, I'm just kidding. But if I could ever do that, I probably would, because I love building the stuff behind the scenes, but I'm not super comfortable being in front of folks. And but knowing that, I want to help others like that have that same issue that I do, so that, we can work through it together. And for me, it's just practice. When I first started, I know my voice used to shake, and you guys probably didn't see my knees shaking either, underneath my desk, but they were. And I don't shake as much anymore, but it's still nerve wracking.
I applaud you for doing it for so many reasons. One, because you gave me the opportunity to do it, but also that I can make you nervous, which is crazy, because I don't think so at all. Rubina has in the comments that you always made her feel you helped her calm down. And I would say even at my own showcase, I felt the same way, and I think about it, the sort of the psychological safety of, I'm not nervous to make mistakes in front of you. Like, I feel that's going to be support regardless. And I think that's what really learners do, or not learners, but people in this profession really do. I do want to touch on, since you've mentioned tech so many times during this conversation, is what is your favorite piece of tech or way to connect with people online?
Yeah, that's a good one. Was that in the list? I don't remember.
It was not in the list. I'm cheating. I'm falling on my comm backgrounds.
Yeah. No, I mean, my favorite piece of tech, I think that over, the last 5 years has definitely been virtual reality, but I can't say that it's one that I like to participate in on a regular basis. It's a whole other place. It's so powerful to me. And I feel like when I do it, I have to make sure that I have the time to go to. I feel like I'm just going to another world. Right. And I think that I feel a little displaced by digital relationships in general, and that in some ways I'm losing my ability to connect with other humans like face to face. And so I've actually been kind of working on that, is like actually forming more relationships. And it's been better lately, just because with my son back in school, I'm getting to connect with other parents and saying, hey, oh, okay, here we are. We get to talk and like from human to human. But generally, I can't say that I have a favorite tool. I do like, I like, this is pretty much it. Like, between the crowdcasts and what happens in Slack, that's pretty much it. And I'm not somebody that you'll see like post stuff like regularly on LinkedIn. I mean, I do stuff for TLDC and even on Twitter. I do it kind of because I have to, just to make sure that there's a voice there. But for the most part, I like the face-to-face connections that I have, like here that I can see the two of you. And then when we're on Slack, that, that I can connect to people or DM somebody in there and have a conversation with them there. But realistically, I just have created sort of boundaries and limits for interacting with other people.
Mhm.
And I just do as much as I can. Like, for instance, after this is done, I'm probably going to like have to sit for like an hour and just calm down, because we had all of this interaction. And I think it was Kayleen Holt had just posted something about being an introvert, because I do think that I'm an introvert, and it does take a lot out of me when I get mentioned on LinkedIn. And this is not to tell people not to mention me on LinkedIn, but when I get mentioned on LinkedIn, I feel sort of,
Blush.
I get terrified. It's like,
they can
I
see
got
me.
mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's like when I see, like, after an event and I see my name like in my, I get the emails for it, I'm like, I get kind of freaked out. But yeah, so really TLDC is my primary little piece of technology I use to stay in touch with people, and I love it. And I've sort of like designed it to accommodate me, and I feel like hopefully people are okay with it too.
I would say that they are. I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to let Miss Lisa do a speed round with you. And do you ever, yeah, I know. These are going to be simple questions. I promise. They're quick. They're not made to be overly, you're nervous. Relax. Do you ever have imposter syndrome? I know that's come up a lot. Yes, he said. That was very quick. You didn't even hesitate.
Not at all. Like, what the heck am I even here for? Like, yeah.
You create an entire community and you still feel that that's very interesting.
Yeah. No, I sometimes I'm like, what is happening? Like, why did so many people sign up for this thing? That's weird. Like, and I'm excited. It excites me. And I'm like, well, that's cool. There were a lot of people there and everyone was talking, but I'm still like, but I don't get it,
We'll take a break. Yeah. Relax after. I'm going to let Lisa, you are the one behind the controls. So I don't know if you want to do in your tiny squares or not to do our speed round of questions.
Oh, I am in the controls. That's awesome. Yes, I do speak, guys. Sorry. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out in the background. So we didn't crash. So I guess I did okay. Let's see.
There you go. You did it.
Focus. I don't want it on me. No. Oh my goodness. Actually, I was trying to get all three of us up.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway, speed round. Let's just do the speed round. Okay. Last song.
Last what? Man, that's kind of funny that last song I listened to was yesterday. I heard this song by Vampire Weekend called 2021 that was really, really weird. And I was like, what are they doing? It was very jam bandish and strange. So yeah, that was pretty much the last song that I listened to.
How about the last thing you read?
Last thing that I read? Oh, well, I guess it was last night I was reading some rule book stuff for Magic the Gathering, because my son, my 7-year-old, wants to get into that game, and because he ended up playing with a friend over the weekend. Like, a friend taught him how to play Magic the Gathering over the weekend, and so last night, to put him to bed, we were reading through the rules on how to play, and that's kind of
Well, actually, that's perfect though, because that reads into the next question. I got. What do you fanboy? Or actually,
who do I fanboy? Who do I fanboy? Oh man, I wish because there are people that I definitely fanboy. Well, I kind of fanboy Nick Floro, who's in here.
Same.
Let's see. He's
Yep.
just. I mean, when he posted that picture of his workstation, I was like, okay, that's it.
Oh,
You are. Um, who do I fanboy right
As-
now? I'm binging Ted Lasso, and I'm really, really into that. I feel like a better person watching it. I don't know if you guys watch that at all, but it's like on Apple TV.
it
I
keeps
love that
coming up
show.
on my feed, so I think that's a sign.
Yeah, but Ted Lasso, I've been binging that, and so yeah, fanboy. That's pretty much my answer because I'm all about Ted Lasso right now.
Okay, one more, and then I'll let us release and see if there are any more questions in our ask a question from the audience. So, yes or no? Could your partner, your wife, accurately describe what you do for a living?
No,
You have no faith in her whatsoever.
no, zero.
You
Absolutely not.
describe what you do for a living.
She's kind of like she's in the entertainment business, and like she's got her own type of like, she's a whole other type of she's got, and also no, she just wouldn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's
No.
just no, she just lets me write the checks and we're good. But not and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It really isn't something that we chase around a lot. During the live events, that's definitely something she understands and is absolutely impressed by. But the virtual stuff, she's not much of a computer person too. So she's very analog. So it would probably be hard for her to really understand what's going on. I mean, she was trying to bring me a cup of coffee earlier, so she's supportive in every way imaginable, but has no clue why I'm over here talking to people in front of a computer.
Sounds excellent. Before
awesome.
Lisa wraps us up, do you have any other comments that you'd like to make before we start to close out?
Yeah, you know what? What I need from you guys is I need to understand. I want you to tell everyone what you're trying to do here with this intersections and learning, because I'm not sure how much value I'm providing right now to the conversation. And I do think that this community is an intersection. It's a way community-based learning, which I've heard, more and more talk about, from people out there, how important that actually can be for folks. But what your thoughts are, how you're going to chase after the conversation, what are you looking for as far as the guests that you're going to book? What are those, like, what are the intersections? Like, tell us again. I know you talked about it in the last episode that we did together, but just one more time. And I think you should introduce the show with the concept. But those intersections, why are they important?
Lisa, I'm gonna let you start off, and then I'll follow lead. I know.
I knew she was going to do that to me. I knew she was. So what we're hoping to do is, and you guys heard some of that in the introduction, or some of you may have seen that video we put before the webcast. But what we're really trying to do, guys, is to talk about, as a community, we all come from different disciplines, right? Some of us are facilitators straight up. Some of us are instructional designers. Some of us are a mix. Some of us are media developers. And there's so many other roles out there. So I apologize if I'm missing yours. But we intersect in so many ways. And there are so many conversations in this community about, well, what is an instructional designer, or what do we call ourselves, or all of these pieces. And what we want to capture here is, it's what are the different pieces, and then how do we intersect? Graphic design, for instance, or to Luis's point, your wife is in the entertainment industry. I forget, was it Shelley who said this in her cast with you? Someone said it, and it just hit me so right here after having done this for like 25 years. It's where there's entertainment that we intersect with. And I know a lot of learning folks don't like to think of it that way, but there is a component of keeping people engaged and all of that. And what we want to find out from you guys is, where do you intersect with each other? Where do we intersect with all of these different roles? What are we not even thinking about? There's the obvious stuff, marketing, right? Graphic design, voiceover artists, media development, but there are things that are not obvious, and they often come up in the middle of, an engagement with a client. And you're like, oh my God, I need So we want to find out about those and how you navigate through them. What do you do if you need to create some crazy animated video for a client and they really want that Pixar thing? Who do you call? If you don't do it, do you do it? Do you call somebody? Do you readjust their expectations? That's what we really want to talk about. And especially how some of you have been doing this for a long time. How do you navigate that stuff?
Right.
Let's help some of the folks that are coming in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No.
that's all I got.
And Kim, you're right. Technical writing is another great intersection
Yes.
as well. And I
Huge.
think the other point that I would add on to this is, Luis, you don't necessarily think of yourself as a learning professional, and yet your whole point is about community and personal development for people.
Mhm.
That is learning. And I think
Yeah.
the point that, and the part that it spoke to me with Lisa, is honestly for those who have imposter syndrome or are nervous about starting something, this is your arena. Even if your title isn't in L&D,
Mhm.
if you care about people, if you care about growth, that is an intersection. And so we're just looking at different people who are doing things that are in learning, and or if they're not officially in learning, if they're still helping people grow, how does that all work? So please reach out to me or Lisa on LinkedIn. We will happily speak to you a little bit more about this, but I want to thank you all. Lisa, I'll let you do the wrap up here. And
Well, wait, I want to add something real quick if I can.
Sure,
Sorry.
of course.
I'm going to take over
It's
for a
your
second here.
platform, technically.
The thing that I love about the intersection concept is it's, all of those things about, sort of these different verticals and different skill sets that we have that intersect and different departments within an organization. Those are all really, really important. But the intersection that I'm seeing that I'm totally in love with right now is how the two of you have intersected. And that there was a community that brought you guys together and your paths crossed, and now you're doing this. And that is something that that I'm hoping TLDC can continue to facilitate, is that everyone is on this path and there are all these different intersections. And it could be that, Monique, you're like, you work with VR on a regular basis, and that, maybe there's somebody at TLDC at some point that is going to be another VR and learning professional that you will intersect with, and then things will go in a different direction, and just, that type of thing. Those are the that's what I'm hoping for with this community, that we can find ways to continue to intersect with one another, to be able, and then those intersections help us grow and find new paths and create better versions of ourselves. Right. We're just like I remember one time I was at a songwriting thing, and a guy told me that he heard one of my songs and he said, that song is great. I feel like it's like a Picasso that just needs to be sort of just, tweaked a little bit, and you're going to find the final masterpiece, that final shape of it, like just by chipping away here and there. And that's kind of how I look at supporting people within this community. It's like, yeah, we'll just let's figure out a way to get you to that point where, the final masterpiece is available. And then, then you move on to something else. And so that's what I love about the intersections thing, is that there's so many possibilities.
Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity, and thank you for being our
So
first
much.
guest. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. Thank you so much.
All
We wouldn't
right.
be doing this if it wasn't for you, really, or each other. And that's the intersection with TLDC.
Yeah.
It's made all the difference for me.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We're going to close it up, and we have the intersections email in the chat. We hope you enjoyed today's cast, and we'll be bringing you one in 2 weeks. If anyone is interested in being a guest, definitely email us, LinkedIn, hook into us. All of our LinkedIn's, mine, Monique's, excuse me, losing my voice, and I didn't even talk today, and Luis's, they're all up in the chat. So hook up to us any way that you'd like and reach out. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, wait, I don't have to shut it off. You guys do.
No.
No, that's my job this time. Let's see if I can cut everybody off at once. Here we go.
Thanks again for listening, and if you find value in our content, please consider supporting TLDC with a membership. Go to thetldc.com/join to sign up and get access to hundreds of our recorded videos, free entry to all of our live virtual conferences and events, and more. Your support helps us continue to build community and share valuable resources for L&D professionals around the world. Thanks again for listening.